All right, we will call the regular meeting to order. Stand for the pledge, please.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Weber. Here. Campbell. Here. Zuzak.
Here.
Lyman. Here. Garwood.
Here.
Stickle. Here.
Here. Okay. Approval of agenda. Any changes?
No additions, no deletions.
Is there a motion to approve or something else?
I have some concerns over the minutes. Is that something we're going to do later or here? I'm trying to get us online. Can you hear? I have concerns with the minutes. Are we approving those yet or that's later? What's in the agenda?
Consent.
Okay, anything else? Make a motion.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second?
I'll second.
Stickle? Yes. Lyman? Zuzak?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Campbell? Yes. Weber?
Yes.
Garwood.
Yes.
Okay, public comment, I have two requests here. Who wants to go first, Betsy?
Good evening, board and community. My name is Betsy Wilkinson, and I'm a fourth grade teacher. I have a letter here from my coworker, Crystal Tillman, who is also a fourth grade teacher and unable to be here this evening. And we have some concerns toward the board on the future of our schools. Here's Crystal's letter. Board of Education. When I sat down to write this letter about class sizes, my first thought was research. Find all the research that proves smaller class sizes are better for kids. Well, I did that, and there are countless studies that prove this fact. However, I decided that what you really needed to hear were personal experiences from teachers right here in your schools. So please take my experiences as well as all the data and research that shows so clearly that smaller class sizes do make a positive difference for primary, intermediate, middle, and high school students. My student teaching was done at a middle school in Peoria with 6th, 7th, and 8th grade classes of up to 35 students. As a first-year teacher in East Aurora, Illinois, I had 31 fifth graders. In Plainfield, Illinois, I had 27 students one year and then 28 fifth graders another year. In all of these three places, I had a larger classroom and more resources, such as textbooks, workbooks, and technology than I have had at Midland. And now, here at Midland, I have had 21, 23, and now 25 fourth graders. Class size makes a difference. With 21 students, I was able to give more students a chance to share, answer, and receive personal attention. With smaller class sizes, I had more opportunities to meet with small groups of students on a daily basis. Smaller class sizes are why my first year of teaching at Midland, I thought, this is the perfect size class for kids and teachers. This is more important than all the other resources the other districts offer. Unfortunately, now in my third year, my class size has crept up every year. I fear that they will continue to rise to save space and money. Smaller class sizes were always what made Midland the gem in our area. It's usually one of the first questions that prospective parents and even new teacher candidates ask when inquiring about our district. It's what made us special, unique, and effective. It's what made it okay to not have the latest, greatest, and newest resources. The smaller class sizes outweighed what we lacked. Now, we look to raise class sizes with smaller rooms and limited resources. What is our gem? What will make us unique? What will help us to be more effective teachers? You can only take away so many things before your families, teachers, and staff start to suffer to the point of exhaustion and frustration. What are we left to offer our children and community once we take away small class sizes too? Yours respectfully, Crystal Tillman, 4th grade teacher.
I'm Heather Markovich, and I'm a 1st grade teacher, and I've been in the district for 24 years. First of all, the Midland Elementary staff would like to deeply thank all the board members that helped us pack, unpack, clean, move, set up rooms, and/or attend open house. We'd also like to thank the countless community members that came out and helped us physically and emotionally with the move as well. We could not have done it without you. It makes us feel proud that we can all work together when we need to for the greater good of our children. Secondly, I would like to speak about whether we will be returning or not returning to the Lakin building. When the certified staff was surveyed, we found that no one feels comfortable returning the children or ourselves to the building, even if the lead repairs are made. We continue to share the same life safety concerns as you, and also feel that we've had enough of an adjustment. We would prefer to stay here until a permanent solution has been made, whether it be a new building or an addition. In closing, I leave you with some words that the elementary children have said about being in our current building. Warm, safe, relieved, happy, amazed. Thank you for listening. Thank you, teachers. Informational reports. Mr. Stevenson.
Thank you, teachers, for speaking to public comment. All the teachers seem to have settled in fairly well under the circumstances. And I want to commend the teachers for working so hard to make this transition as fluid as possible and working together and collegial to transition the students in. The teachers and the administrative staff have been a beacon of excellence for our students and elegance, I might add. If the board chooses to lease mobiles, I believe we'll need about 8 classrooms. And administrative offices will need to be moved to the high school. We've recently been in contact with our webpage contractor. I know there's been some concerns about the webpage itself. Ed Leo, the contractor, has notified our IT person, Gary Leato, that we should see a website by the middle of March. Gary needs to map the website and send it back to Ed Leo. Also keep in mind all other contractors that we interviewed indicated that it would take 6 months to deploy a website. I finished the calendar for next year, and I have submitted it to the union for review. And I've talked a little bit with the union president. She is going to submit it to the staff and the union membership for review and suggestions. I'm anticipating to get that back in a week or so. I think we also might want to consider what our administrative team configuration is going to look like depending on the outcome of the building transition and the referendum. I deferred the question of football until next month. I would like the board to hear any proposals from Coach Seibert And I understand Coach Seibert is prepared to discuss that during Mr. Gallus's building report. That concludes my superintendent's report.
Mr. Joseph's report in front of us. Mr. Gallagher.
The majority of my report are the typical February maintenance, the perfect attendance breakfast that's going to be February 24th. We solidified our freshman orientation and sent out emails to all clubs, activities, teachers are in the room. There's going to be building tours, very much like it happened last year, where everybody has a booth with information. Parents will come out with their students. Mrs. Bohan will go over requirements. They'll have the opportunity to visit each club and activity and then take tours of the building. That's going to be March 17th. MAP, due to the layoff that we had recently, we have to do our second round of MAP, so that is not completed just yet, but it will be here in the next few days. Park we have scheduled at the high school from April 4th to the 6th, but the main goal, and you'll get the whole curriculum guide for next month for approval, are in red here, and those are the new classes or changes that we have for next year. The STEM classes, the Introduction to Engineering Design, which we mentioned before, Principles of Biomedical Science, and then a Computer Science Software Engineering class, and then there's a new ag class, a new civics requirement, that's the state of Illinois. Basically, it's our government class, which was just an elective. Come next year, it'll be a requirement for everybody to graduate high school. So we changed our American government to civics to meet that requirement, but basically it's our American government, but everybody will have to take it. We will move our U.S. Constitution test from U.S. history to the civics, since everyone has to take it. And there's a few new enrichment classes there at the bottom. We have chess, with the hopes of possibly competing later in the chess strategy club, personal training, and forensics. Other than that, I think that's all I have.
While you're getting ready, can you tell us how's it going out there? The mixture of students.
Sure. They have settled in nicely. We got carpet in both the rooms. The other pre-K room was the old district office, so it already had a tile floor. They're going well. We reserved the one bathroom in the senior hallway just for 5th grade and preschoolers. It's amazing, besides the move, it's amazing what these teachers can do in a short period of time. We did the move in 12 hours, which was amazing. But then also it's the logistics of down to the smallest detail of when we get out as high schoolers to when they get out and do changes to get into the gym or go to the bathroom. And really, there's no interaction there unless we want that interaction. And we've had experienced several teachers that want to maybe bring some of the younger kids in to do some cooking with our FCCLA kids. Some of our parenting class kids going in and maybe reading to the preschoolers. So it's been great. No issues, and I don't expect any issues from here until the end of the year. So it's nice having them around. Really. You should see the high schoolers light up when the preschoolers go into the gym. It's awesome. So.
I just have a question for the board about STEM, because we have not approved it yet, and we've not voted on it yet. Are we planning on doing that so they can move forward?
I was under the impression that
We've never taken a vote to approve STEM, we just had discussion. There's not a vote. I haven't seen one in the meeting minutes.
When we approve that along with the rest of the curriculum?
Yes, you would approve that in the curriculum guide.
I mean, we'll have a budget. Because last time when we had the stuff come in, we got budget dollars for how much was being spent. Is that going to happen as well? I'm just asking because we don't know how much
Yes.
it's going to cost, so that's why I'm asking.
Project Lead the Way, which is the largest STEM provider in the nation, which would be the STEM provider for the high school students, has the documents with all the budgets, the curriculum, and we're mandated by Project Lead the Way to follow their budget recommendations and their curriculum, or they'll revoke our charter. And I'm sure Jeremy has that for the next meeting.
Okay, that would be, because it'd just be nice if we actually voted on that
Sure.
we're going to spend this amount
Absolutely.
for this curriculum, that's all.
Tom,
Okay, thank you.
are there any other questions? I'm sorry. No. Go ahead, Tom.
I do appreciate a couple of minutes here. I understand there are lots and lots of things going on, so I appreciate the board giving me a minute or two here. What I needed to do was a tentative schedule for 2016 for varsity football. The athletic director is also in charge of the conference, the Northeastern Athletic Conference, is the athletic director and head football coach at Alden Hebron, and we've been back and forth. I've gone to the meeting. There's a team in their conference currently, Christian Liberty, who there's a really good chance that they will not be able to field a varsity team for next year, and they would concentrate just on their lower levels. They made that clear to me at the meeting. We've discussed things back and forth via email. The latest email, he gave me a tentative schedule and said that he was giving that head coach until the end of the week to make a decision. And then he would contact us immediately after that to finalize some possible times and dates and so on and so forth. Why do I think this is different than what we've done in the past is because on there you can see the number of players that they have. Currently, I did a little research for 15, I actually went in and looked at these are actual numbered rosters that were listed on websites. I couldn't find all of them, obviously. And then the players for this coming fall, this is his projection by knowing the conference because he's played them for all the years that he's been there and talking to the coaches at that particular meeting. These are their projections. So it's different in that these are the kind of numbers that we're talking about. It's nothing to do with enrollment, but it has everything to do with player participation. And these numbers are exactly in line with where we were, where I hope to be. And I hope that we are around the 30 player mark again. We've got 16 to 18 potential returnees. I know we got very, very few seniors, but inevitably a handful of them will come out. I thought I was going to have 5 last year, had 11. So that always, to start the year at least, so that always seems to happen. The younger players are excited. I'm hoping for anywhere from 10 to 15 8th graders. But this is kind of the first step. And as you can see, the tentative schedule on there, I know travel is a concern. We fill in for that particular school, and that means 5 home games and only 4 away. So, and yes, the miles are there, but they're really not that much further than what we've done, going all the way back to Three Rivers, going all the way up north for those games, or LTC, almost all the way over to Iowa. So the travel times, they're not ideal, they never are. But if we do this, then potentially in 2017, with again all of the constant shifting in the state of Illinois, there's a possibility to get something a little closer. I think the HOI is probably a very nice fit for us, and who knows what's going to happen with that. As far as JV, once the varsity schedule, we can confirm that, then the JV becomes a little easier. Local schools such as Stark, El Paso, Gilchrist, EMAC, IBC, Eureka, and then of course there are some open dates on the website. Again, a little further travel, but teams are always looking for a freshman B or something like that to fill in. Like I said, he could call as soon as the end of the week or first thing next week and offer us a position. And they need us as much as we need a schedule. If this team is not out, then it creates problems for everybody in the conference, and they all have to find a week 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever week they are, that they're playing that team, they would have to find that game. So he understands that, that's why he's put a little bit of pressure on this coach for him to make a decision. So, questions?
So just to be clear, you're only talking 4 away games potentially for next year?
He sent me the exact schedule, and each team was assigned a number, and I'm plugging it in, and I confirmed that with him and said, so you're talking, these are our away games. And he confirmed that, the times, of course, and whether it's Friday or Saturday can all be worked out depending on travel distance and those kinds of things. They're open to that. Several of them have turf fields, and a couple of them don't have lights, so that makes it a Saturday or whatever the case may be. So, yes, so as of right now, that would be those will be the four. And like I said, for the lower level games, we can find some other local, whether it's freshman here or JV on Wednesday, whatever the case may be. There's some other locals we get the other younger kids to games to.
So I know a lot of it has been made about traveling so many miles, and it's so expensive, but you're only talking 4 away games, even if they're 100 miles away. That compares to maybe 15 road trips for other sports, and maybe closer. In total distance travel, you guys are not even close to the top.
Right, and there's a lot of interstate on all this. Once you get 39, you know, and or 55 into the city. So, and again, yes, the travel I think is reasonable, but the point of the competition, we're playing schools that are, I mean, there's only one 2A school in the conference, and the only reason they're 2A is because they're multiplied because they're a private school. I tried to put actual numbers in brackets and then their multiplier, except on Luther North, but actual is 166 and they're multiplied 273. So it's the same kind of athlete. I mean, the research I did on these other ones, I could literally see how many senior, junior, we're about the same boat. You know, we're not talking about D1 athletes. We're talking one roster of 2 kids over 200 pounds. So, I mean, it's the same. It's apples to apples as far as the type of programs. Thank you for your time.
All right, we'll move on to item 6 as the consent agenda. I'll read those first. Approved minutes, January 19, 2016, regular meeting. Approved closed session meeting, January 19, 2016, regular meeting. Approved minutes, January 28, 2016, special meeting. Approved closed session minutes, January 28, 2016, special meeting.
Is Mr. Jansen going to get his?
I'm sorry, how did you say something? Oh, geez.
All right, just a few things, a quick report tonight. Middle school boys basketball had the 7th grade regionals. It was very, very well attended. Gross-wise, the 7th grade regional grossed over $1,500. The 8th grade regional grossed over $2,100, which was wonderful. Everybody I talked to, other athletic directors in the area were kind of stunned. Last year, for 2nd grade regionals, I actually got billed. The ISA allows the school, host school, if they don't make money in the regional, they can bill other schools in the regional to cover their losses. So last year I got 2 bills. This year we weren't able to send out any bills to anybody. After I paid the ISA haircut, I also paid our own bills. To the district itself, we brought in $1,200 off the regionals. It doesn't count when we made the concessions. And I know I don't have the concession people here tonight, but I know they, Jimmy Moore over there did fantastic with it. I know we made a killing off concessions. So thank you to those who helped me during that time period as well. It was 2,700, so we're talking almost $4,000 off of the 2-week regional. So really great there. So very happy. Also, our 6th grade boys team, they took 2nd place at the end of the year DMAC tournament. They lost to a really, really good Eureka team, but they got 2nd as well. Our volleyball team in middle school, they're off to a really hot start. I shouldn't say off, the season's almost over. The 8th grade team has picked up 2 trophies along the way. They won the Coates Invitational. In Princeton, they also got 2nd for a Christian tournament. Midland Middle School will host the 7th grade volleyball regional coming up here in about 2 weeks. We have another regional we'll be hosting. With all the regionals we've been hosting, I've heard a lot of positive feedback from our schools. A couple schools sent us a note, one note was sent out to the ISA recommending Midland be continued to be considered host for the future for all events, for a good job as we do. So I want to pass that on board as well. Last 2 things. Girls basketball season ended their season. They fell to Weathersfield in the regionals. They picked up a win over the Pew first and lost Weathersfield. Boys basketball will play in the Roanoke-Pennington regional. They'll take on Henry next Monday night at 6 o'clock. And then one final note on wrestling. I know I brought it up before. Mr. Gallitz and I have a meeting with Putnam County Hall Co-op in March. They're interested in adding us. There's a few details and questions that we still have about how this will all work, what the organization of it would all be. But when I talked to other schools in the area, they were pretty much the only one interested in anything for next year. So once we go to that meeting, we'll bring some information back to present to you guys in March as well. Any questions for me right now?
It's not a beer, but have you ever had a chance to find out anything more about, you talked about the potential of the girls soccer club?
I've talked to Putnam County about it a couple times. I haven't done anything with our high school students and checked in with where they're at on it. I've talked to some of our coaches about it. Again, our concern being small high school, that if we do it on our own, I get a little concerned about what that's going to do, track numbers and softball numbers. Our numbers, especially for softball, are already so low. Coach, what did we have last year? 10, 12? 12?
Total 15.
15, okay.
One senior, one freshman, about 10.
Yeah, so we're still low, and I hate to, we just lose 1, 2 girls, that can make a difference. Talking to Putnam County about a potential co-op in soccer, they originally were gung-ho about doing it, and they have not gone to the point where they don't know if we're doing anything next year yet. So, to answer your question on that way, not really.
Anything else? Okay, now can I do the consent agenda?
As well, can I do his report here for middle school? No, you did the superintendent.
Find it. Shane Nyborg will advance to Henry for the county spelling bee. I'm also working with the city of Lakin for this year's Community Service Day. At the last PTO meeting, some parents wanted to see a variety of community service from the students, which is a good idea. Food service custodial staff are doing a great job. Custodians have worked together to provide a very clean building for all our students. And I think that can be attested by the teachers on how hard they've worked to keep this building clean for the students. Met's Plumbing is scheduled to be here this weekend to work on the teacher lounge bathrooms. Also, work on the lintel in the south hallway will begin this week. Also, Albeneer has installed warning horns, strobes in the penthouse, and worked with Thompson Electronics. Since we are now consolidated with the elementary school, foot traffic has doubled in this building. As a result, I've asked Tim Piles and Mark Smith to develop a hard floor schedule for the entire building. I've also asked them to review the custodial standards for the building, which is important since we now have twice the students. But we also have twice the custodial staff. Rachel Williams, the guidance counselor, will begin working on the curriculum guide very soon. Any questions? None?
Now we're ready to move forward.
I think Mrs. Kimball had a question about the minutes.
Well, for the minutes, I looked through those, and actually we have several to review, but I found several inaccuracies in each of them, so maybe it would be better if we just, if I made a motion to table that, so that I could get with you specifically on how to fix them all. There were several things, so.
Okay, so do you want to table the whole thing, or are there just certain ones?
Yeah, there was something on each of them, so several items that I had to list out, so if you want, we were going through everything one by one. I could give you a list and we can go through it. So I prefer to take a motion to table it.
If you've got something for each one, you have it written down then?
Yeah, I've got line by line, if you want to go through each item, and might take a lot of that several of them, so.
Is it a lot? Is there something that we could go through and get done?
Or at least the older ones, so that we don't violate any actions not having any to their department. If there's any type of order. Like that.
I think what you're saying, basically.
At least the older ones, because if we table it, I worry that we can violate not having the minutes posted that we had at the time.
Yeah. All right. You want to go through, Shannon?
Okay, if you'd like to start, I have a list of several things for each one. There were several names that were omitted first reading.
Okay, it says the visitor sign-in sheets, so what are you referring to there? Is that what you're talking about?
There were several things that were not noticed during public comment. So it wasn't just specifically the people, but particularly we've got lists of names that were people that were speaking on different subjects, and that was not listed. So I would
Did
just
you say what you're talking about specifically?
Yes, there were different things that were brought up in opposition, and those things were not mentioned.
Which one are you talking about?
Well, we could start with January 19th.
Okay.
I might add, I'm looking at the Open Meetings Act and the Attorney General's website. And it says the minutes shall include date, time, and place of the meetings, members of public body recorded as either present or absent, and a summary of discussion of all matters proposed, deliberated, or decided, and a record of any votes taken. And that's what's required to enter minutes.
I see that, but I also see that from the indications here in the minutes, it appears that some of the names and the topics that were brought up were primarily pro-referendum, and it appears that there are multiple instances of people who spoke in opposition, and those were not listed. So I feel that if you're going to list any, then you should list all. If not, don't list any at all. But if you're going to have an accurate representation of what took place, then it should all be noted.
Starting on January 28th.
Starting on January 19th, the first list.
GP, please. Okay, so if they did speak, then, and filled out one of these sheets, then we should have it in the office to record, correct?
Correct. It's kind of hard sometimes when you do not fill these out, and different people get up and speak. It's a little difficult sometimes to grab everybody. Some people just stand up in the audience and talk.
Okay. That's fine. It'll be, thank you.
Okay, anything else, Jan?
No, we'll just leave it at that.
Is it possible just for us to keep a list? Because I understand it's hard to take whenever people are talking and everything, but if we are going to keep complete minutes, then we probably should make sure that they're, if we notice something that's not on there, just make sure that it's included. I mean,
Yeah.
Keep in mind, when they're entered in the minutes book, we keep a binder as an archive. And these are entered in the archive. But what is important to remember is, and there's nobody certainly that's trying to control the minutes that are entered in the archive at all. But there is a point where people turn these in and they're incomplete, or you might have somebody get up and speak for 5 minutes, and without having a court reporter here, it's very difficult to maintain a verbatim record of everybody who speaks in public comment.
And I'll speak up too, that I do write up the one thing. And I tell you how many times there's not a name written down, you got to just go, or it's illegible for me to read, you got to.
Can we change the forms and have them print their name
I
out?
sent out, I did it today, I have on all the forms now, to please print your name. A lot of times people get up and speak, they don't do want to read, they get up and speak. I don't know everybody that lives around here. So unless they state their name, it's difficult for me to put down the speaker.
In the future, make sure, I guess we can make sure they state their full name. We can verify their signatures on the list or on the form.
I think if, as board members, if we recognize anything in the agenda we know is not right, we can call that to her attention before we have a meeting and just add that as a correction. We should do that. All right. Okay, I'm going to start at letter D. Approve closed session minutes January 28, 2016 special meeting. Approve minutes January 30, 2016 special meeting. Approve minutes February 4, 2016 special meeting. Approve minutes February 8, 2016 special meeting. Approve bills and payroll, resignation, Chris King at elementary 8, and review of suspensions. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I will second.
Roll call, please.
Campbell? No, I have to abstain due to inaccuracies and lack of information included in the minutes.
Tuesday,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Kim, sorry, Carver,
Yes.
Stickle,
Yes.
Zephyr, Tony.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Tony, I didn't catch you, did you say yes?
Yes, just as long as they're, and we do need to make if there's errors in these, they need to be very accurate because people do go back and read them and look for things. And I know from taking minutes myself, it's almost impossible to capture everything that everyone's saying. It's very difficult. And I'm just, if there are things that are missed, we need to make sure we're getting them down ahead, so that we can get a better question.
Shannon, did you see anything other than what you're seeing in the public comment that you noticed stuck out? I didn't.
I did, but it's irrelevant at this point. You've already taken it. So.
Okay, are we good? All right, item number, discussion and action items. A motion to approve the first reading of Board Policy 2.150. And that's a policy regarding the communications committee. Everybody got a chance to read that? Any discussion on that? If not, is there a motion?
I would like to say that I did send all communication about this. I disagree with this policy the way that it's written. I feel that part of this duty within this board situation is that communications should be presented more so by the president automatically to the public, and I think that we need to follow through more thoroughly with that. So I disagree with this policy.
Okay, I would be glad to entertain anything that the committee brings up.
Isn't this just to approve to have a committee?
This is a first reading for a revision of the policy. And what the policy states is it creates it. Includes a communications committee as a standing board committee. Keep in mind that the board president appoints members of all committees, and that's in your board policy. And that's done during the reorganization of the board during election time.
So you don't, you're saying you don't think we should have this committee?
Well, I feel that a lot of the communication issues that we have is parts of the board's responsibility, that we as a board should be getting the information out to the community and to these other specified situations. So I just disagree with the way that it's written.
And don't you think though that having this committee will make the communication better? I thought that was the whole
about that?
I was under the understanding we were forming this committee with the goal of identifying areas to improve and correct our communication. I guess I'm confused. I thought we talked about this and everybody agreed to move forward. All this is doing is saying we want to form a committee, correct?
Better discussion between the board and the public.
Yeah, I'm not being rude. I need you to step a little closer to the mic. I'm really having a hard time hearing you. Can you clarify your
Okay,
concerns about it?
I had sent my concerns across to both Dixie and Hall about this already. My concern here is that we clearly have not had good communications with the board itself, amongst itself, nor with the community thus far. And to me, at this point, we need to be focusing more so on what we can do ourselves before having the president appoint members of the community to participate in being a communication committee. To me, that's putting our responsibilities off on community members. And at this point, I think that given that we already have issues with the community in that they are concerned that we aren't expressing ourselves fully, I think that it is time to just accept accountability and take it amongst ourselves to do what we can do as a board rather than create citizens groups to do that.
Well, I'm certainly open to anything that any member of this board thinks we should do, if it will be helpful.
But isn't this the board, am I wrong? Is this not what you three had said you would help with? As board members?
Yes, I'm confused. I don't, what are you proposing?
When we initially discussed this, before it even came to the table, I thought that this was going to be something just amongst the board themselves, that we were going to be working more diligently on trying to get information out. I wasn't aware that this was something where we were setting it up so that the president would be creating committees with citizens to take over, I guess, that responsibility.
It's everything. It's among the board, and it's between the board and administration, staff, everybody. And yeah, it's for everybody.
Until today, I mean, I did not read this part until today, this actual piece right here, because I kind of skimmed over it. But I did go out to the board or the IASB's website and looked at these two policies that it references. It might be something that we should look at before we adopt a communication team or a committee, but I think it's important for us, I think, to define any roles around us, because there are some valid points to what Tiana has said, but at the same time, if we're looking at this as a steering to get a better communication out there, whether it be a new system that gets to our parents and our community, updates like to the website, things that we come up with that these should be updated, then that's what I'm thinking. But I didn't really understand all this today until I went out to IASB's site and actually read these two policies that it references. And they had some pretty good materials out there. But I just wanted to add that because I do understand exactly what she's saying. I think we might want to just look at it a little further.
That's okay. This is our first reading, so yeah, we
Yes,
won't change anything.
what I would propose is we conduct the internal committee first, before we ever reach outwards and expand upon our tight group. We have some issues to work out internally before we ever draw anyone else into it. So I don't know how we make those changes in the policy, but we clearly need to draw down the scope of it.
Okay.
And that's what I was saying about scope and actually looking at these two policies, because there's some pretty good stuff out there. But Ryan is 100% accurate. He said,
Do we need a policy to do that, though? Just among ourselves?
Well, I guess my understanding was it's going to be just like our finance committee or our transportation committee, building and grounds committee, where it's only made up internally of board members. And that way we conduct meetings with separate agendas that are committee meetings.
That was my understanding as well, but then when you read through the actual policy that was created, it doesn't appear that that's the intent of this.
And that's where I was going with what Tiana had said, because I agree with Brian, that's what I thought it was at first, and then when I went out and read this specifically today and then pulled those two policies on IASB, that's where it came up a little different. So I think we just need to define some things a little bit more.
That was not my understanding, but that's fine, we can sure do that. Everybody else okay with that?
I think,
So I don't disagree, but the first part of communication has got to be two ways. You can't just have it internal. You have to be able to have that dialogue with your audience and vice versa. It's just, I agree that we need to figure some stuff out as a board, right? We talked about these goals. We had our internal review and how we had brought the people in. We have a lot that we need to do from that, so I agree. But meanwhile, the public is suffering from not getting the information we need to get to them. And I don't think that it's just Dixie's responsibility to make sure that all that information goes out. So if it's not a committee, fine, this board needs to do a better job as a whole and get it done. So I don't care what we call it, we just got to get the information.
I guess I think it was clear that we wouldn't hold these in private or closed session meetings, anything like that. They would be open to the public, you wouldn't have community members actually sitting on the committee. The goal of the committee would be to distribute information to them and have a two-way conversation if that's what you feel is necessary. But they would be sitting as members up here on the committee. At least not at first until we decide what we want the scope of it to be.